This one's tough. Should you downsize nearby or relocate somewhere completely new? The wrong move can leave you with less money, more stress, and a lifestyle you'll regret. So I'll help you break down the pros and cons of each and how to decide which is right for you. And if you watch till the end, I'll explain the hardest part of this decision and how to overcome it. So when does downsizing make more sense than relocating? Generally, it's when your house is bigger than the life you're actually living in it. Maybe you bought your current home when you needed the extra bedrooms, the yard, the storage, the garage, or the school district. At that time, it made perfect sense. The house served a purpose. It may have been where you raised your kids, hosted for the holidays, or served as the anchor for your extended family. But now, things may look different. Maybe the kids are grown. Maybe you have rooms you barely use. Maybe the yard used to be fun but now feels like a job. Maybe cleaning, repairs, stairs, or maintenance are starting to take more energy than they're worth. That's when downsizing can become very attractive. And I want to be clear, downsizing does not have to feel like a step backward. For many people, downsizing is actually a lifestyle upgrade. It can mean less maintenance, less stress, more convenience, more freedom, and more time to enjoy life instead of constantly taking care of the house. That could mean moving to a single-story property, a townhome, a condo, or simply a lower maintenance home in a neighborhood that still gives you the lifestyle you'll enjoy. Still be near your friends and family, your favorite parks or restaurants, and your daily routines. You get to change without completely starting over. That's the real power of downsizing. You can keep much of the life you love while removing the parts of home ownership that no longer serve you. Downsizing also usually means a cheaper home, but watch out. That's not always true, especially in high cost of living cities like here in San Diego. A smaller home in a desirable area can still be expensive. A condo may come with high HOA fees. A newer community may have extra costs like Belarus fees. A smaller property closer to the coast may cost more than expected. And if you currently have a low mortgage payment or a lower tax basis, the financial picture may be more complicated than it looks. That's why you can't just compare square footage. You have to compare the full cost of the life before and after the move. That means examining your taxes, examining your insurance fees, utilities, repairs, mortgage, and what you'd actually walk away with when you sell. Because the goal isn't just to buy something smaller, it's to improve your overall situation. If downsizing gives you more freedom, less stress, better flexibility, it might be a great move. But if you give up space, privacy, and comfort without gaining enough financial or lifestyle benefit, it may not be the right move. Next, let's talk about when relocating makes more sense. Let's say you're in San Diego and you love your home, but there's a problem. Maybe cost of living is just too high. Maybe you want to be closer to your kids or grandkids. Maybe you want more land, slower pace, or a place where your money stretches further. If you're retired or getting closer to retirement, maybe you're wondering whether it still makes sense to keep so much of your wealth tied up in a San Diego home. That's a completely different conversation from downsizing, because instead of just changing your home, relocating is about to change your lifestyle. Your routines will change, your weather, your social life, your access to family and restaurants, entertainment, healthcare. Maybe that's exactly what you want, a fresh start, more breathing room, and a chance to turn your San Diego equity into a different kind of a life somewhere else. It may let you buy a more affordable home, lower your monthly expenses, keep more money available for retirement, or move closer to the people who matter most. But here's the part. People don't always think through. Cheaper doesn't always mean better. It's easy to compare San Diego prices to another city or state and think, look how much more house I get there. And that may be true. You may get a newer home, a bigger home, more land, lower monthly cost, and less financial pressure with that. But the real question isn't just, what can I buy there? The real question is, will I actually enjoy living there? Right? Because a place can be more affordable and still not be the right fit. Maybe the weather is rougher than you realized. Maybe you miss the coast. Maybe your family doesn't visit as often as you thought they would. Maybe the pace feels too slow, or it's harder to build a community. Relocating is often the right choice, but it requires more research than you may think. Before relocating, you would want to understand what your daily routine would actually look like. Who would be nearby? Where would you spend your time? What would healthcare, weather, travel, and community feel like? Would you still feel good about the move once the excitement wears off? That's the difference between a smart relocation and a reactive one. A reactive thought process is, I just need to get out. If you're relocating strategically, you should be able to say, I know what I'm moving toward, and I know why this place supports it. Now, here's some advice I wish more people would take. Before relocating, do a trial run. This is one of the smartest steps people skip. Visiting a place for a weekend is not the same as living there. A vacation version of a city can feel exciting and effortless, but real life looks different when you're dealing with traffic, grocery stores, doctor's appointments, weather, errands, social routines, and the day-to-day rhythm of the community. If you're seriously thinking of relocating to a new city, try staying in that neighborhood you're actually considering, not just the nicest hotel in the area. Go during the season that might bother you most, whether that's summer, heat, winter, weather, humidity, or rain. Rent a car and drive around at normal commute times. Visit the grocery stores, pharmacies, parks, restaurants, medical offices, and places you'd actually use. And pay attention to how it feels when nothing special is planned. Could you see yourself building a normal week there? Would you feel connected, comfortable, and supported? Or would you miss your routines, your friends, your coast, your weather, or your access to family more than you expected? That trial run can save you from making an expensive emotional decision based only on price. A lower cost of living is important, but it's not enough if the new location doesn't fit your daily life. Relocation may look good on paper, but it needs to feel livable on a regular Tuesday. By the way, if this topic is helpful and you want more San Diego real estate guidance, make sure you subscribe. If you'd like to know what your home might be worth, and if downsizing is an option, or maybe a relocation is in the plans, do reach out for a neighborhood consultation or a free home value report. We're here to help. Back to the video. So, how do you actually decide between downsizing and relocating? Start by asking what you're trying to get away from. Is it maintenance, stairs, unused space, a high monthly payment, a high cost of living, being far from family, or simply feeling like your home no longer fits? Then ask what you're trying to move toward. Are you moving towards simplicity, lower expenses, more family time, slower pace, a single level home, more travel, less maintenance, or more financial breathing room? A move shouldn't be an escape. You should be working towards something better. And then you need to look at the actual numbers. What's your home worth? What would you net after selling? What would your next home cost? What would your monthly expenses look like after the move there? Would the move create more flexibility, or would it create a different kind of pressure? Once you answer those questions, the decisions usually become much clearer. For example, say you live in San Diego, but your current home feels too big, too expensive to maintain, or too much to manage. In that case, downsizing may be the better fit. Based on the numbers you come up with, you may be able to simplify your life without giving up the community and lifestyle that you already enjoy. If San Diego itself no longer fits your goals, relocating may be a good fit. If you want your money to stretch further, you want to be closer to family, or you want a major lifestyle reset, relocation may be worth seriously exploring. But either way, the important thing is not to make the decision based on pressure, fear, or whatever everyone else is doing. Your decision should be based on your numbers, your goals, your family, your lifestyle, your timeline, and your options. That's especially true in San Diego because every neighborhood is different. A homeowner in La Mesa is making a very different decision than a homeowner in La Jolla. A coastal condo, a suburban family home, a larger property, and a low-maintenance townhome are all going to attract different buyers and create different opportunities. That's why neighborhood-level guidance is so crucial. The market is local, and your next move should be specific to you. Finally, here's what people don't talk about enough: the emotional side of this decision. A lot of real estate advice focuses only on the numbers. And yes, the numbers matter. But with downsizing and relocating, the emotional side is huge, especially if you've been in your home for a long time. This may be the home where you raised your kids, where you hosted holidays, where you built memories, where you know every corner, every neighbor, and every routine. So even if the house feels too big now, selling it can still be difficult. That is completely normal. And if you're thinking about relocating, the emotions can be even bigger because now you're leaving a whole city, a community, and even a version of yourself. That's why you might feel stuck even when the logical decisions seem obvious. You may know you could use the equity differently. You may know you want less responsibility, but emotionally it's hard to close one chapter and step into another. So here's a better way to think about it. You're not giving up the past. You're choosing the right home for the next season of your life. You'll still carry those memories with you, The goal is just to stop forcing your future to fit inside a home or location that no longer matches your needs. Sometimes, the house that was perfect for one chapter becomes too much for the next one, and that doesn't make the old chapter any less meaningful. It just means your needs have changed and your home needs to change with them. Here's the bottom line. This will make it easier for you. Downsizing and relocating can both be smart decisions, but they solve very different problems. The key is knowing which problem you're actually trying to solve. Downsizing makes sense when your home no longer fits your life, but your area still does. Relocating makes sense when your city no longer fits the life you want next. If you want less maintenance, less stress, fewer stairs, less unused space, and a simpler lifestyle, downsizing may be the answer. If you want a lower cost of living, a different pace, more space, closer to family, or a completely new chapter, relocation might be your choice. But either way, the right decision starts with knowing the facts. If you're in San Diego and you're wondering whether it's time to downsize, relocate, or simply understand where you stand, reach out for a personalized home valuation report and neighborhood consultation. I can help you look at your current home, your potential next move, and the options that may make the most sense for your situation. Because the goal isn't just to move, it's to make the right move. I'm Melina Rizal with Coldwell Banker West. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.